Alright everyone, Wildcat here. This video here I kind of thought I would just do on the game collection that I have. I started gaming back in the mid 80s. Uh, I think it was in the 90s where I got my first IBM PC. Um, and of course, I mean, back then we ran DOS. So this little quick rummage down or try and stand it. So what I did is I built this shelf, and I wish I had thought of it when I first started, because I built it afterwards. And as you'll see on the shelf, some of the games are still in cases, and some of the games aren't. So I started with DOS. So this collection down here, coming all the way across here, this is all DOS basically. Games, manuals down here for most of the DOS games. And that's one of the things I miss with nowadays. Like, we buy a game, we don't get that. See, back then I paid $80 for a game. We got a manual with the game. Like this one here, it's Falcon 4. It's about 400 pages. You know, for new games, you're still paying pretty close to $80 for them, but we don't get the manual or nothing like we used to, right? So on these chunk here is railroad simulators, farming simulator, and then basically from here on this one all the way across to here, these are race games, race car games that I collected. This shelf here, we basically have kind of role-playing games on there for most of it to some degree. A little bit of shooting like Silent Hunter and that. Again, up on this shelf, pretty much kind of the same thing, basically role-playing games or shooter games, that kind of stuff. And then, oh, I gotta stand up now. This shelf here, as you can see, this is my flight sim shells. Back in the 90s, flight sims were hot. That was the thing that was really hot. In the early 2000s, it's turned into the shooter games, right? So as we come up into here again, shooter games, Grand Theft Auto collection goes from, here over to there. And then just some other ones, other shooter games that I collected over the years that are all pretty good. And then of course up here on the top shelf I have my, this is all there to there, Ghost Recon, Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, Assassin's Creed, Cryus goes from there to there, Far Cry. I have some of the newer Far Cries, but of course, I buy them online now. I don't get discs for them no more. So, and a couple other shooter games. And we just don't get some of the things we used to get with them. Like, we come over here, for instance. Here's a map with San Andreas, right? That came with San Andreas. We got this map, which is kind of neat. But and on that side, and of course that there. So you can see this here is another map. That's Grand Theft Auto 4. And I don't think I did get 5. Let's see if Grand Theft Auto 5 came with a map. I can't remember if it does or doesn't. Give me a sec. Okay, so took me a bit to get the casing over for Grand Theft Auto 5, and sure enough, there is a little card in here. And oops, as we open this up here, you can see that there is actually a map inside for Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, my understanding is that you can still, go online and go to their store and buy these still. But I kind of like the idea that you bought the game this way in a disc, and it came with it. All right, so it's kind of neat. I never even opened that one. And as you can see, if you open her up, we got all the discs we need to install it. Being a pretty big game. But I say buying them online, I kind of miss these things that we had back then, right? You know. So this is one of the first helicopter ones I got, right? And you know, this one here, you know, it required a 486-33 or a 486-66. It needed DOS 5 or higher, needed 8 megabytes of RAM, a PCI bus, Super VGA video card, Sound Blaster card, you know, and of course a control stick. Pretty small configurations needed for it compared to what we have nowadays for what we need for our games nowadays, right? MiG-29, that was an add-on to Falcon. Was another really good game. And I just want to show this one. I don't know if you still even come across these kind of package bundles like this. You know, this one here, USNF 97 was a very good game to play. It was quite fun. Really enjoyed that one. These here, as far as some maps that I got from a game called Red Baron, which was DOS based, and that was one of the first flight sims I actually ever bought back then. World War I, and she was a blast to play back then. They brought another version out, Red Baron 2, which was made for 98, I believe, 95, 98 anyways, and it you can still get that online now, and you can still get it to work on your computer, but you know, when you do, you're just like, oh my god. The graphics in it are just, you're like, wow, like the ground is like right there at your face, you know. It's yeah, we've really come a long way, or the industry has really come a long way since the day when I started. So kind of wanted to show those. So the other thing I got here is that it basically works out to, on that shelf, I bought games that were costing me about between $60 and $90, or sorry, $60 and $80. So the average game was probably about $70 if you were to average it out. And for how many games I have on that shelf, that works out to, I spent $30,000. There's $30,000 I spent sitting there just on that shelf. And it sounds like a lot, you know, but if you think about it, it's really not, because I've been collecting these for about 30 years. And if you break it right down, then it ends up working out to you that you're spending about $80 a month for a game, which, you know, this day and age, I don't think it's too crazy. That is for sure. I also have a PlayStation 4. My cousin talked me into buying that, which I have there, and I only got a couple games for that. But I do have a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 2, and I do have a bunch of games for them. But they're off in the bedroom. So I don't need to show those. So some of the other things I wanted to show here was this here is my first video card. And as you can see, it was 8 megabytes PCI bus, right? I had a couple other cards I had given away, and I just don't remember what stage I was at when I gave them away. But this one here is a 64 megabyte, so I'm pretty sure this was my second card, right? And then I think it was here that I had a couple others that I had given away, right? But then I got myself the 128 megabyte AGP started coming in, and then of course the you know, the ATI 256 megabyte, right? And then, you know, kind of went on. Here was the 7600. I'm not sure this one. This one here is a 1 gig. It was 9500. I run this one in my XP computer I still have, and then this video card here is also only another 1 gig, but it's ATI, but I run this one on my Windows Vista. So I'll show you guys that in a second, how that works. Alright, but so then I went to the 750 Ti, the 1050 Ti, the 1070, and now I'm running the 2060. So I have the 1070 in my Windows 7. This is in my Windows 10 computer. And these cards are just sitting here collecting dust. You know, of course, back there we got Sound Card, Sound Blaster Agility 4. I had Sound Blaster Live, or 95 Live, and that was a really good sound card. I had that for years. And then they started coming out with onboard sound, so they started saying, no, you don't need the cards no more. But having a sound card gives you a way better surround sound. If you have surround sound system set up, you get way better off a sound card. Like here, this card here, this one here is a Sound Blaster Live. And as you can see on the back, the jacks that you have on the back, right? So, you know, most of those are for the speaker and one's for a mic. That's, you know, so you get a lot better sound out of those. Another thing I wanted to show, because I know some of you guys out there, or people are not going to know about this, but this here is our hard drives. And this hard drive here, let's see if I can find it on here. Trying to see if I can find the site. This hard drive here is a 1 gig hard drive. Alright, and back then, not like nowadays, you see all these pins on the back here. We used to have to set these up. So this diagram on the back, okay, so this diagram here on the back, right here with these boxes. So depending on how you jump the pins, you know, so if this was a single hard drive in there, you'd have to, or if it had your operating system on it, you had to make it a master. And if it was just going to be used as a backup, then you'd have to make it as a slave, which I'm sure you guys can be able to read that, right? And if you didn't jump the pins, then generally they didn't work. So, you know, nowadays you get this nice little plug and play kind of thing. I thought these hard drives were a little bit smaller than what they actually are. Yeah, this one is an 80 gig hard drive. Oh, we're looking at there. And this one here, what's this one? Oh, this is a 30 gig hard drive. Wow. Should stick these on and see what the hell I have on them. I won't have a clue now. It's been so long since they've been in a computer. But my first hard drive I have, if I remember right, I think was only like 80 megabytes. And they're basically the same size as those. So what I wanted to kind of show here. That stupid screen keeps cutting out, sorry. Alright, give me a second to get this out of the box. Alright, so this, I'm trying to find where it's not being whited out here. Maybe if I come over here. There we go. Okay, this here is a 250 gig SSD drive. That's on my motherboard, which is the hard drive. That is amazing. When you see the hard drives I have in that bag, you know, there's only 30 gigs. This little stick is 250. Quite something for how far we've come compared to before. Alright, so over here I have my computers. So this guy up here in the top, this is the one I run Windows XP and Windows Vista on. I got 4 hard drives in there, 2 are XP, 2 are Vista. I don't remember what the CPU is. This is one, XP runs the 9500 card, and my Vista runs the ATI 7750. This computer here I have is a Windows 7, which is a little better than the one up top. And, you know, it's got a CD-ROM on them. Same with the one up top. I'm not sure if you can see it, but the one up top has a CD-ROM too. And then my one I have down here, this is my new computer. And this computer is an i5. This is one running my 2600 card. It's got 32 gigs of RAM on it. I got the big space right here because I had a hard drive in here, but I put it, or disk drive, but I put it in one of the other ones. This guy here, this slot here, for those of you that don't know what this would be, this is for a 3.5 inch drive. And I'll come over here and I'll show you. 3.5 inch floppy is what they're actually called. This is what we had before CD-ROMs came out. It was a 3.5 inch floppy, and of course you put the disc in. Sorry, I'm trying to show you this, and it would pull the slider over, and there's the tape that it would write to. Average game back there was probably between 30 and 80 megabytes. most games required somewhere around 15 of these things in order to install the game. So I don't remember their size. I really, like I said, I don't remember their size because they're talking in TBI, and I don't remember what that means. But we were basically in kilobytes back then and megabytes, and 3.5 inch discs. That's what they were, and before those, they were 5.25 inch discs. So which meant they were 5.25 inch. They're a big disc, and it took a big machine to use those. Unfortunately, I don't have any 5.25s anymore, or at least not that I've come across. I'm pretty sure I don't. So one of the other things I did is that in my process of going through stuff, as I was rambling through things, I come across a stick I had, and I used to do videos back in the 90s, mid 90s into early 2000. A lot of the stuff I did in 2000 I lost because the hard drives died. But I still got most of the stuff I did back in the 90s. So what I was going to do was start putting those videos up. Were recorded in 1072 by 768. So when you stretch the video like YouTube does now, makes a big picture out of it. They're pretty blurry, right? So you got to kind of shrink the screen down to fit the resolution they're made in. I tried running them through my editor to see if I could update the graphic to it a bit, or at least the size to it, but yeah, it doesn't matter. It didn't work. Size is fair. All right, I'll just tell you guys that just make your YouTube picture smaller, and they're not quite as blurry, and you'll get an idea and see what the graphics are like. All the games that you'll be seeing in these videos are all games I have on that shelf somewhere. And so yeah, if you guys have any remarks or comments, or you want to ask about anything in particular, on our video or something, feel free, go ahead and put a post on, and I'll try and answer them best I can. Alright, so for now I'm going to call this a blast back to the past. And for you older gentlemen out there, it'll probably bring back some memories. For you younger guys, it'll kind of show you what we had to play with back then. Alright, so for now I'm going to say Wildcat out, and we'll see you guys in the next video.